And just like they say, you know, food is for the body, but flowers are for the soul.
Yeah.
And it just does you so much good to be outside. Sometimes if I'm just really stressed out and I go out and I weed or I water or I harvest, it's just very, you know, stress free.
Well, okay. Hey everybody, we are so excited. We're out here on this beautiful, beautiful sunny day at one of our newest businesses in Scott County, Tapestry Flower Farms. And we're out here with the owner, Sandra Tritt, and we are just going to let her talk to us a little bit today because I don't think you realize that this farm is here and it's available for you all to purchase some items. So thank you for meeting with the Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate it. Thank you for being a partner with us. Tell us about the farm, kind of how you got the idea to do this and how you got started.
Right. So basically, it was just over some coffee one morning, trying to think about what I wanted to do with this piece of ground because I had had horses here previously and no longer had the horses. And with the COVID happening, a lot of folks moving in, I thought I would downsize because it's 15 acres.
Right.
And then I thought, well, what could I do with this land? And I was just looking at some fresh cut flowers. And I thought, hey, I love flowers. Maybe I could grow some. I didn't even realize there was an industry.
Right.
Maggie, go lay down. Go lay down.
Maggie's visiting with us, yeah.
So anyhow, that's pretty much how it started. It was just kind of an epiphany. I just had this bright idea. And then I spent several months researching and exploring.
So as you stepped out in this, I know that you did this the right way. You did do your research. You got involved with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture, and you're a Pick Tennessee business, right? And so, tell us about some of the different blooms and like how long your season, when you have to start planting, and then the seasons, how long they last for you.
Right. And another organization that was and still is very beneficial is the ASCFG, which is the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers.
Oh, okay.
And it's an international organization, so they have lots of research and resources on their site. But essentially, I would start, late fall. In terms of like tulip bulbs, things of that nature, those have to be ordered like the previous spring. And then sometime late fall, early winter, I would start really thinking about what flowers I want to grow. And what I started doing last year for this season is ordering plugs, which are basically tiny little plants, instead of starting everything with seed. So my season is really primarily end of June through the end of August, maybe early September. When I had first started in 2021, it was more like a hobby. It was just this little area here. And now I've got a bed behind the barn and a bed over here and a bed over there and a bed over there.
and you've got, and obviously you've got 15, you've got plenty of room to keep expanding this.
Yeah.
So tell us about how, I know that we were talking before the video started, and you were talking about how early you get up and how you have to beat the heat, no doubt, and get out here and harvest. But what's that look like to come out and harvest? I mean, how do you, when you do harvest, what's that process, and then what do you do with it?
Right. Well, it depends on which stems I'm cutting and harvesting. Like sunflowers, for example, something like this right here would almost be too late. And I knew you folks were coming out, so I let these gals just go ahead and open up.
Oh.
But you would want to harvest these
Before they open.
Yeah, and then that's just like a one and done. You harvest them. And then what I would do is just like strip the leaves and get them in a hydrating floral food solution, and then I've got a little cooler over there, and I get them put in the cooler. And like the zinnias, for example, there has to be turgidity. So you would check the stem and see if they're nice and stiff. If they're not, if they're flopping around, give them a little time. But yeah, I would do that for however long I could until it gets too hot or whatever. And then usually, like Mondays are bucket washing days. I spend a couple hours washing all my buckets and sterilizing them. And weeding is kind of a perpetual thing. And May was very dry until early June, and so there was a lot of irrigation. So at night I would come out and turn the drip irrigation on. So there's lots of
work. It's not like
rainbows and butterflies.
Right, and you're not going to just come out here and be able to put some seed or even in the ground and just say it's going to work out. There's a lot of, and I like you said, you've had to do a lot of online training and different things to research, right, to see what works and what doesn't work.
Right, and there's succession planting too. You can't just one and done. You can't just plant your sunflowers and say, because a lot of folks will do every 2 weeks. And then you want to do like a companion planting. Like I have straw flowers and they don't like to have their feet wet. So I would like to plant them with somebody that doesn't need a lot of water as well.
Wow.
And so your irrigation, how you set things up. And in terms of the plugs, you want to get those sent in. I've planted over 6,000 plugs this year myself, not counting seeds.
Wow.
So you want to stagger the orders, and you want to make sure that your beds are prepped. And when you put them in, some of them need some fungicide to protect their roots and other things that'll help the roots be strong.
It's a lot of work to have this beautiful area and then to be able. So as you harvest, tell us the markets that you sell to.
Well, primarily I do farmers markets. Something that I started this year is something called the CSA, which is Community Supported Agriculture. And in more urban areas, a lot of vegetable farmers will allow folks to just sign up as a subscription. So flower farmers are the same. So you get a bouquet of flowers like every 2 weeks or once a month or something like that. And I have sold some to some florists. And I really liken the farmers market. I've tried one in Knoxville and one in Campbell County, and I really like the group in Scott County. Seems like there's more foot traffic, and you get to know the regular customers, and they see the seasonality of what you have. So,
well, and I know that you brought some flowers out to Chambray. Now we've signed up on the to get them while they're in the bloom. Yeah, on the subscription, and you can do that through the website. Which is tapestryflowerfarms.com.
Correct.
So you can go on there and get all kinds of information about the farm and just everything and your whole story and everything.
Right.
But I will tell you, when you brought some out, I think you dropped them off after the farmer's market, and we kept them watered. There was one day they got a little dry, but I got them hurried and got them in water. And I mean, we kept those out for almost 2 weeks. I mean, it was just because we kept watering them, and the visitors just really love that. So what is your favorite though of what you've planted? What do you love to see that when it comes up, it just really gives you a happiness?
Well, obviously the zinnias are gorgeous. I mean, the variety of colors, they're so vibrant. And something that I grew this year that I had never even heard of is something called the Lysianthus, which is essentially like a hybridized Texas bluebell, and there's just a whole plethora of colors. There's one, it's called the pink picotee, and it's basically white with just a little bit of pink around the edge of the petal. And it's used for bridal work and things like that a lot, but they're so beautiful. And one of the reasons I like those is because initially I had heard they were really hard to grow. And so I did some research, and apparently it takes like 3 months for them to germinate. So most folks will just order the plugs, and then you have to set them out like at the end of March, and then it takes another 3 months for them to actually bloom. So it's kind of a long game on these gals, but they bloomed for like a month.
Wow.
And then there's multiple blooms on each stem. They're
So
really
it's
pretty.
really, yeah, that's
like
can
'em.
tell. It's almost into. Sounds like it's a little bit of a challenge for you, and it is, and
Yeah,
you will enjoy that.
I do.
You do.
I do. It's a learning process. Like I was saying earlier, something that Thomas Jefferson had said when he retired from politics, I'm an old man, but I'm a young gardener. And so there's always something to learn.
So,
Fun.
do you ever look down the road, and I know you're probably just taking it season by season, but do you look for long-term plans? Like, do you ever see this being a place where people can come and pick, or you just really want to keep it more harvest and take to and sell that way?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me that because I've thought about that a lot. I would like to bring some involvement with children because I've
Wow.
worked with kids a lot in the county, and at this point I'm growing just a little bit over an eighth of an acre, so that's plenty for me.
Right.
But I would love to bring some students in and just help them learn about nature and learn about flower farming. And I also do have vegetables here, but there's plenty of room to expand. And just like they say, you know, food is for the body, but flowers are for the soul.
Yeah.
And it just does you so much good to be outside. Sometimes if I'm just really stressed out and I go out and I weed or I water or I harvest, it's just very, you know, stress-free.
Well,
So I'd
and
like to bring some kids in. I would
well,
like to
and
explore that.
you know, the UT Extension office is fully staffed now, and I know that Jennifer Cross and Miss Amelia, and I cannot think of her last name, they're the new 4-H agents. And I know they're really trying to branch out and do some incredible things with the students. So hopefully that you all can work with them and
That
see
could be
that.
an option.
Yes, that's definitely something. Okay, so I have to ask this because we're going to be going into fall pretty soon,
Yeah.
although today it doesn't feel like it. But pumpkin patches, have you ever thought about doing the pumpkin
Had not-
patches?
Oh, we have a hawk. Had not thought about pumpkin patches.
No one in
It could
Scott
be.
County is doing that, so I know that's a
Ah.
big draw, and that would be a way, I don't know, but that's something, we've had a few people, we've seen some questions over the couple of years. I wish somebody would do a pumpkin patch, and I thought, well, maybe, you never know.
It could be something I could tuck in my hat and think
Yeah,
about
for
for
next
future.
season. Yeah, all right.
Absolutely. I'm open to suggestions.
Well, it's definitely beautiful here. We love that you've thought of a market that nobody's doing here, and that you chose to do it in Scott County, and we wish you nothing but success. I see this growing into just fields of flowers eventually. I hope that happens for you. But
I appreciate that.
thank you for standing out here with us. It's definitely a warm day, but thank you
absolutely.
for meeting with us today. And I think